Welcome to the Shmuley Show, everyone. And what a hot show we have today. Unfortunately, marred by another assassination attempt against President Trump. We're also going to speak about the new political alliance in Israel between Bennett and Lapid and whether that will topple Netanyahu. I've known Bibi for 40 years, so I might not want that to happen. You'll hear. We're also going to be speaking about my beloved Israel. Are they making a huge mistake by allying themselves de facto with Russia by allowing grain exports from the Donbass region of Ukraine, which is occupied Ukraine, stolen by Putin at considerable blood and treasure? Should Israel allow that grain to be offloaded at the Haifa port? Zelensky is making major diplomatic threats against Israel. Remember, Zelensky is the Jewish president of Ukraine. You're always fully Jewish, but he's not Jewish. He doesn't practice or affirm it. I want to jump right into this with the White House shooting. So, I actually kind of watched it in real time because I love watching the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I was watching CNN. Suddenly it all went nuts and no one knew what was going on. But I have to condemn in the strongest possible terms someone who I've never really respected, and that's Jimmy Kimmel, who said in his, let's be fair to him and just be accurate because we don't peddle fake news here. He did this in a broadcast that aired like the night before, kind of a joke Correspondents' Dinner. He was boycotting Correspondents' Dinner because he didn't want to give legitimacy to President Trump. But he basically said that Melania Trump has the glow of a woman who's about to become a widow, the glow of a widow. I can really not think of anything as repulsive as that statement. Well, now, why do I not like Jimmy Kimmel? Because I know him a little bit. Jimmy Kimmel attacked me personally, Rabbi Shmuley, like 10 years ago as a media whore. I think he called me the word whore, et cetera. He doesn't know me at all. I don't care. I saw his character because he's Jewish and he knows I'm, one of the better known rabbis in America, and he doesn't know me at all. And he's sitting there attacking me on his ABC show. So I left it alone and I just drew my own conclusions. This man has a low character. That pales into insignificance after the Charlie Kirk affair and Erica Kirk. When you start speaking about Melania Trump, whose 56th birthday was yesterday, April 27th, and you start speaking about her as a widow. Jimmy Kimmel, to quote the great lawyer for the American Army during the McCarthy hearings, "At long last, sir, have you no decency? At long last, sir, have you no decency?" Jimmy Kimmel, at long last, have you no decency? You tell a woman that she's going to be widowed. You tell the American people, whether they love Trump or hate Trump, they don't want him assassinated, God forbid. Maybe you do in your sick, demented, twisted, immoral, dark soul. Maybe you want him dead. But the rest of us don't, God forbid. I happen to love President Trump but many of you who hate him, you may want him kicked out of office, and that's the American way. You don't like him, you put together a coalition, put up a candidate who defeats him. Look, he can't run again anyway. By the 24th Amendment of the Constitution, he can't run again anyway, but you defeat him at the polls. I know that you guys are decent. I know that even those of you who suffer from Trump derangement syndrome would be horrified, God forbid, if something like that happened to the president, but not Jimmy Kimmel, sicko. I'm friendly with Bobby Kennedy, very close to Robert Kennedy Jr. I saw the way he was escorted out of that thing. I was very worried about Bobby because there's been so many assassinations in the Kennedy family. To Bobby's credit, he was trying to take away my fear on Saturday night. I wrote to him, "Are you okay? Okay." After about 2 hours after the gunshots went off, Bobby wrote back. I said, "Are you okay?" And he wrote back to me, "I'm very hungry." But I'm worried about Bobby because so many Kennedys have died by assassination. But go and meet the children of people who were in politics and were assassinated. Jimmy Kimmel. You want Barron Trump to be an orphan? You want him being scarred for life? You want the American people scarred for life? Do you know what it would do to the United States of America? Forget about Melania Trump being widowed, you pig. Forget about Barron, who's what, 20? Being orphaned at 20. Forget about Ivanka, such a fine woman, God forbid, being orphaned. And completely orphaned. Her mother already passed away. Or Eric, or Don Jr. Jimmy Kimmel, pretty funny to talk about a man being killed, huh? What if we joke about your murder? God forbid, but we wouldn't, you see, because we're decent people. Should you be canceled? I think you should. Gabe, my producer and dear friend, said to me, "Shmuley, you're a free speech absolutist. You're a First Amendment absolutist." I am. I think you could say whatever the heck you want in America, within limits. That doesn't mean there's no punishment. That means there's no criminal prosecution. But Gabe, what does that have to do with being canceled? I mean, Tucker Carlson got canceled by Fox because he peddled lies about the 2020 election, and then we also found out that he really hates Trump. You know, his email showed he said, "I hate Trump with a passionate loathing," while he was telling his audience how much he loves Trump. So we knew he was a fraud. So Fox fired him. They have every right to it. He went on to be bigger and better than ever because he wouldn't be able to peddle all of his anti-Semitism on Fox. Rupert Murdoch would never allow that. He loves the Jewish people. And now Tucker's bigger than ever because loving Jews equals money and equals clickbait. I'm sorry, hating Jews. Sorry. Loving Jews is the quickest way to destroy your career. Let me just be clear. For any of you out there who actually praise Israel and praise the Jewish people, you will have lost your audience. See you later. Thank you for your friendship and enjoy your poverty. But for those of you who hate the Jews, you're going to be huge. So Gabe, I believe that Jimmy Kimmel should be fired by ABC for saying that. Now you're going to say, Shmuley, you're a free speech absolutist. He'll be bigger doing his own. There's a million different... Broadcast TV is dying anyway. It's not like his voice is being canceled. It's rather that a mainstream broadcaster that uses public airwaves, we own those airwaves, okay? ABC uses public airwaves. They should not be broadcasting calls to assassinate the president of the United States, a father, husband, grandfather. He should be canceled. Did I say he should be arrested? God forbid. No. Did I say that the government should fine him? No. Should he be investigated by the Secret Service? No, because I don't think he meant it in that way. But should the public kick his ass off TV? Yeah, I absolutely believe that. That's not cancellation. I mean, we're doing my own broadcast right now, Gabe. Did anyone give us permission? Did we ask anyone permission? No, we just as long as you have enough money, and that's not always easy to get the right equipment. And I got someone like you who can run it until you abandon me, which we disagree politically so vehemently, and your opinions are so wrong and so delusional. And to argue with a Einstein level IQ, you should know not to argue with me. So if I lose you, yeah, maybe I won't do my show. So you're going to end up canceling me, Gabe. You're going to end up canceling me. Jimmy Kimmel's a pig. And what about the culture? Remember when George Bush looked at his watch during the debate with Bill Clinton and lost the election? Did I just lose all of you? I love you. I want to make sure we have enough time together. What about the whole culture of insanity and the lunatics with guns and everything in America? Look, I don't know the motive of this nutcase. I hate calling him a nutcase. Trump called him a nutcase at the press conference at 10:30 p.m. Saturday night, 2 hours, not even after the shooting. I don't like excusing evil. When you say that evil is crazy, you're essentially excusing it. I don't want to do that. I don't know that he's crazy. He's evil. What if he's just evil? But what was he thinking? Was it a suicide mission? Had to be. He had to know that the Secret Service, would kill him. So he failed at that. So, Gabe, let's go through this. If it was a suicide mission, he failed because he lived, right? He wasn't even shot. Okay, so he failed at suicide. Number two, if it was an assassination attempt, God forbid, at President Trump, which I'm sure it was, he didn't even get close. The president was never in danger. This is not like Butler, Pennsylvania, where the president literally was literally shot. Trump was shot. Thank God he wasn't shot seriously. He was shot in the ear, but he was shot. And 2 people were murdered that day in Butler, Pennsylvania. But this guy got nowhere close. He was on a different floor. He never breached a security person. What was his thinking? That he was going to Scarface his way into, take a look at my little friend. That he was going to Scarface his way into it. He had a shotgun. He had one handgun. He was going to be overwhelmed by firepower. That might show that he's kind of crazy just in terms of his calculations, but he's evil, and I don't want to excuse evil. What do we do about the political climate in America? It's disgusting. It is a sewer. It's gross. We're all guilty, all of us. And the problem is that if you want to actually use measured tones, like I try to use very measured tones in this broadcast and on Instagram, on X, I really do. Do I always succeed? No. Do I mostly succeed? Yes, thank God, because I know what I want to be. Not for all of you. I just have a vision of who I want to be, a rabbi and someone who's moral, universal morality, listening to opposing opinions. But that's not true of Candace. I wrote the same night. The people responsible for this are the following people. Indirectly, of course. Candace Owens, who made X into a sewer of anti-Semitism. Tucker Carlson, who made X and other platforms into a sewer of anti-Semitism. Nick Fuentes, who openly speaks about, that Nick Fuentes, forget about his hatred of the Jews, he wants us all gassed. Gabe, are you aware of the fact, Gabe is black and Jewish. Are you aware of the fact that Nick Fuentes openly calls for all blacks in America to be imprisoned? Can you imagine? No, so you're saying he's crazy. He's not crazy. Why do you say that? You think he doesn't know what he's doing? He's making $20 million a month, or allegedly something. Why do you go like this? Why do you excuse his actions? I'm not even sure he believes it. I'm not even sure he's a racist. He's gay. So the white supremacist, he's allegedly gay. Tucker Carlson called him gay and they're allies. So he is going to be spat out by the white supremacists and neo-Nazis, his natural coalition. Don't say he's crazy. It's a money-making venture. He's prepared to go that low. I bet if we Jews gave Nick Fuentes, no, 100 million is not enough. If we gave him $1 billion, I bet he'd start loving Jews. I'm not kidding. I think he's a transactional anti-Semite. That doesn't excuse what he's doing. He's a pig. Okay? So between Clandis Ovens, Tucker Carlson, Lil Nicky gay porn Fuentes, because he was once caught allegedly with gay porn while he was broadcasting. This is the strangest stories. Look that one up. And disgusting Kanye West, who did a mainstream music video, Heil Hitler. Imagine that in America in the year 2025, last year, or 2026, whenever it was. Imagine that. These are the people responsible. And notice, I'm a Republican, and I'm saying that all these Republicans are responsible. I am condemning the sewer of hatred from the right. What about the sewer of hatred from the left? Ilhan Omar's disgusting comments that Jews love money, that Jews love Benjamins. She never apologized for that, by the way. What about Rashida Tlaib, who speaks openly about Jews being genocidaires and Jews being murderers and killers, etc.? What about Zohran Mamdani, our great mayor of New York, who never condemns globalize the Intifada? This is the culture of hatred. It comes from the right. It comes from the left. Now, we talked about gun restrictions last week. I'm not going to talk about that now. I think this lunatic would have gotten a gun anyway. And thank God no one was killed. Thank God our law enforcement are well decked out in bulletproof vests, which I know a little bit more than I should know about because of my children who are in the IDF, and the shortage of bulletproof vests, high grade bulletproof vests that the IDF had after October 7th. That was a real problem. Soldiers were going to war with no. Do you know one of our dearest friends was a full colonel, 3 falafels. I dedicated this book to him. This is a picture of him. He died on the first day of the war, allegedly at that rank, colonel, which is like a general in the Israeli army, Rory Levy. Allegedly, he was not wearing a bulletproof vest. We dedicated the whole book to him. He died with 5 children. Real hero. So no one was killed at the Hilton. And I think this guy would have got so let's not talk about the gun violence. Let's talk about the sewer of political violence in America. This is becoming like the 60s. John F. Kennedy was killed. Martin Luther King, greatest American of the 20th century, was killed. Bobby Kennedy, one of the greatest Americans of all time, was killed. Now I'm very close to his son, Robert Kennedy Jr. He faces crazy threats. You saw the way the Secret Service took him out and had to. We just got to be moral. Any of you who pay Tucker Carlson's monthly premium, you are aiding and abetting evil. Any of you who pay Clandis Ovens' monthly thing or continue to repost her, etc., you're aiding and abetting evil. Any of you who pay disgusting Nick Fuentes, who, by the way, is a moron, an imbecile. And so at least Tucker Carlson is educated, albeit evil. He's like Goebbels, evilly educated. Clandis Ovens is not educated at all. Nick Fuentes is not. Clandis Ovens can't even recite basic English words. It's almost laughable, but you're aiding and abetting evil. And I'm condemning people as a Republican from the right. Where are the people by the way, even Bernie Sanders, he's Jewish, who I'm close to his brother Larry, engages in so much demented anti-Semitism against his own people, the way he writes about Israel. And don't tell me it's only about Zionists. Come on. Zionists equals Jews. Cut the crap. Condemnation of Israel is condemnation of all Jews because it's the only Jewish state and it's only being condemned because it's a Jewish state. So there's a culture of American political insanity. Gabe, do you think that our country is an insane asylum?
100%.
Speak louder.
100%.
Do you think that we can become normal again?
I don't think so.
You think America's like just going off the cliff with insanity?
100%.
Then why are you opposed to canceling, to ABC firing Jimmy Kimmel for speaking about the president being murdered? That's not silencing him. He'll open his own podcast and make even more money. Like why should public broadcasting. Remember, ABC is a public broadcaster. They use the public airwaves. You and I are not using any public airwaves. I'm paying for an internet connection in this house. People are choosing to watch me through, and Instagram is not public. Instagram can cut me off tomorrow. Facebook can cut me off tomorrow. Elon Musk can cut me off tomorrow. Why do you think that if it is an insane asylum, why do you think Jimmy Kimmel should be allowed to get away with that?
I think a lot of comedians
Who talk about murdering presidents?
make very inappropriate jokes. Dave Chappelle talks about beating up transgender people all the time. Nobody cuts him off.
He's a pig.
Okay, so say Jimmy Kimmel's a pig.
Jimmy Kimmel's a pig. It should be. I think anyone who aids and abets Dave Chappelle's incessant incitement against trans is aiding and abetting evil. I think he's funny as hell, but what does that excuse it? He's a pig. And no one should watch his crap. I stopped watching his crap when he did that because I have a gay brother. And he's a disgusting homophobe.
It just comes to a point where do you draw the line? Are you going to be looking...
Incitement. Incitement is the line.
A lot of people incite, Rabbi. Some people even accuse you of incitement.
Well, like when? When did I ever incite? I praise Islam. I praise my Muslim brothers and sisters. I praise Christians. I praise blacks who are my brothers. I praise gays. The only thing I incite is America should go to war against terrorists like in Iran. That's it. That's the only thing I incite. Inciting, pushing America to finally remove a regime that stones women to death is a mitzvah. I'm proud of that and I stand by it. That's not incitement. That's called defending human life. Where's the incitement? Let them, fine, they can accuse me whatever they want, but that's where you have evidence. Where did I ever say that one of my political enemies should be widowed, God forbid? I want Ilhan Omar to live to 120. I just want her to have a private life. Anyone that wants to hurt Rashida Tlaib, let me look you in the eye. Anyone, I can't stand Rashida Tlaib. I think she's a liar. I think she's an anti-Semite. But any of you who want to hurt her, you're worse than she is. You're a disgusting, vile, violent pig. So what do I want? Vote her out of office. That's all I ask. I never want violence. You draw the line at violence, Gabe. You draw the line. I have every right to say kick Rashida Tlaib out of office. Peacefully.
Do you think she should, and remember, we pay her salary, right?
Yeah.
With our tax dollars.
Yep.
Should she be kicked out of her position because
by the voters? By the voters, of course. In an election, of course. I don't mean kicked out physically, God forbid. I hated what happened. Trump is one of my favorite presidents, but I hate what happened January 6th at the Capitol. I condemned it nonstop. By kicked out, I mean voted out, of course. I hate any kind of violence. I hate frickin' violence.
If Jimmy Kimmel should be canceled, then so should Rashida Tlaib, according to your law.
No, Rashida Tlaib did not call for the murder of the president. She condemned it, to her credit. And so did Ilhan Omar.
Okay, it's not the same exact context. But
violence. Come on, Gabe. It's a difference between rhetoric and violence.
Jews of committing a genocide is also a pretty big deal. No?
Yeah, she's disgusting, which is why she should vote her out. But she's not calling for Jews to be killed in America. If she did, I believe she should be arrested, but she hasn't done that. She's come close, yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel didn't say...
He said that she's on her way to being a widow. He should be canceled from the public airwaves. Let him say it on his own private podcast, not on the public airwaves that you and I own.
Before we move on, one question. We're moving on. If this teacher assassin was successful Saturday evening...
Yeah, crazy that he was a teacher. That's like...
Would you have changed,
this country's freaking nuts. What, yeah?
Would you have changed your statement, I think, from episode 5 on gun laws? If you would have been successful and killed the president...
God forbid. You gotta say God forbid.
God forbid.
God forbid. Chas v'shalom. God forbid that something would have happened to President Trump or anyone else in that room. I wish, to be honest, I wish the assassin would have been shot, to be honest. I don't know, I mean, maybe they need intel from him. I don't care about his life. He forfeited his life the moment he tried to kill innocent people.
Would you have changed your opinion on
about gun laws? No, not from one, because he would have gotten a gun somehow. Look what's happening all over Europe. Look what happened just in Mexico. You said cartel, but the guy was from Mexico City. No, I wouldn't have changed my mind. In fact, what needs to happen now is not a reexamination of gun laws. This specific incident at the Washington Hilton, we have to understand, how did he get into the building armed? I know he didn't get into the security perimeter, but how did he get into the building armed? Like whenever AIPAC or one of the big Jewish organizations does something at the Washington Hilton specifically, or let's take IAC, the Israel America Council, the perimeter is set up at the beginning of the hotel, at the actual doors. Here, they were allowing tourists, et cetera, who are staying in the hotel to wander around, and they only closed off the perimeter. That was a huge mistake. I don't know why they did that. Okay, we're going to move on. By the way, I really want to give Gabe tremendous credit for being an outstanding producer to me. He gives me incredible topics to talk about. Some of them are my topics, some of the things he suggests, but he's really good at this. So all of you should tell him not to just cancel me. He's planning to cancel me. Are you? No, say it.
I'm gonna ruin you one day.
You're moving on. You're moving on to a higher paid job. It's about money. It's about money. In the same way America is sick with violence, Mary, don't you think America's sick with greed, Gabe? And you want to be part of that? Go ahead. Go ahead.
For me, Rabbi,
You could stay in this incredibly low-paying job and do something serviceable with your. Listen, we have not made $2 on this show yet. So, but when we do, you're going to be a multimillionaire, God willing.
I was gonna respond to you. I was gonna say, for me, it's all about the Benjamins.
I'm going to do something right now, which Gabe's going to love, and all my fellow Israel lovers, are going to not like. I have criticized Israel from day one for not being tough enough on Putin. This goes back to the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, where Israel actually moved the 75th commemoration, the liberation of Auschwitz of January 27, 1945, in order to accommodate Putin, because he was fighting with Poland, so Poland would never let him in, and he wouldn't go to Poland. Israel decided to move the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz to Jerusalem, in a giant ceremony. Netanyahu appeared, President Rivlin of Israel at the time, now it's President Herzog, he appeared, and none of the Israeli officials therefore went to Auschwitz. I went. Mario Cuomo, his son, Andrew Cuomo went. And at the time, I condemned what Israel did. I love Israel with all my heart. It's not perfect. Because Israel thought we need Putin because of Syria. Now we know that's a bunch of BS. We know that aside from being a gas station with nuclear weapons, which is serious, conventionally, Putin's a joke. He can't even defeat Ukraine. He's not that big a joke. He's killed hundreds of thousands of innocent Ukrainians. He's killed 1 million of his own soldiers, many of whom were probably innocent as well. They're the conscripted army. But Israel sucked up to Putin because they were afraid of him. And they trampled on the memory of the 6 million in order to protect 6 million living Jews in Israel. I get that, but still, they moved the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz to Jerusalem. They weren't gassed in Jerusalem, thank God. They were gassed in Poland, and that's where it should have taken place. That's why I did not go to Jerusalem for the 75th. I went to Auschwitz. But Israel essentially boycotted that ceremony that Poland put on, and I give Poland tremendous credit for honoring the 6 million till today. I always do that. Now we have Israel preparing to unload grain from the occupied Donbass region, which is Ukraine is like the bread, in the same way that Kansas and the American heartland is the breadbasket of North America. Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. And you have all this grain that's being offloaded in the Haifa port. And Gabe, the ship is there now and Israel's deciding what to do with it. So I want to tell my dear friend Bibi Netanyahu, you are Israel's greatest prime minister, greatest leader. Don't unload the grain because here Zelensky is right. You cannot be part of Putin. And Putin just congratulated Iran for fending off the United States. Yeah. Putin just congratulated the Iranians who want me blown up, gassed, dead, only because of this. This is the only reason. I'm a Jew. And Bibi, they want you dead much more than they want me dead. God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. So why would you kowtow to disgusting Putin, who's a killer, who's a murderer, who's a monster, who's a dictator? I hate Putin because anyone who has a moral sensibility has to hate Putin. And don't give me these excuses. He had every right to invade Ukraine because Ukraine joined NATO. Why? Oh, they didn't join NATO. They want to. Why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't Ukraine be free? Why do they have to live under a dictator? The end of the Cold War was supposed to be about the Gorbachev era, perestroika, and freedom. And even under Yeltsin, who was a drunk, unfortunately, Russia was free. Now Russians are all prisoners and captives. And it's almost like the Russians, as long as we're strong, we don't mind living under a killer and a dictator. We want the Soviet Union back. You would rather be strong and in jail? So the American federal penitentiaries apparently have amazing gyms. You guys will be strong and have huge vessels and you'll be in a prison. That's what you are in Russia. It's a big prison. It's the biggest landmass country on earth. I hate Putin's guts. And Israel can never be part of his evil. They cannot. Bibi, Prime Minister Netanyahu, you're a great man. You're a moral man. You're a proud Jew. The other day we all commemorated the 50-something anniversary of your brother's murder, 50th anniversary of your brother's murder on Memorial Day, Yom HaZikaron. You know what life and freedom is about. Prime Minister Netanyahu, don't side with Putin. He can't hurt us, thank God. And now he's praising Iran for killing American soldiers and Israeli soldiers. Iran killed 13 American soldiers over the past 2 months and injured hundreds of our brave men and women in the U.S. military. Which brings me finally to the question of whether Bibi can be toppled by the new coalition of Yair Lapid and Naftali Bennett. The answer is no. They're going nowhere. Gabe, I know that you wish I had a different answer, but I don't wish it because I know Naftali Bennett personally. He's a nice, good man. I know Lapid better even because Lapid's wife, Lihi, is a relationships expert, and she and I have done public lectures together. And we've had dinner together. I had dinner with Lapid. They're very nice men, but they're not ready to lead. I'll tell you why. They're not strong enough. I don't think that Bennett or Lapid would ever have taken the decision to use the Israeli Air Force to bomb Iran's nuclear targets. Only Bibi had the gumption, the guts, the bravado. Don't forget bravado is probably a pejorative. The bravery, the courage, the boldness to do it. And I don't think they are. So what I think, first of all, let me tell you what's going to happen. And then I'm going to tell you what I think should happen. Gabe, what's going to happen is that Bibi's going to serve one more term as prime minister. He's what now, 76? He'll probably till about 80. And 80 is the new 60, no big deal. And Bibi's a great prime minister. After that, Likud will have to find someone else. And I have no idea who that's going to be. I really don't. But Lapid and Bennett, Israel knows that they cannot be strong enough given the wars that Israel is fighting right now. So even people who hate Bibi's guts, I would say that half of, it's like Trump here in America. Half of America loves Trump, loves him. Half America despises him. But Trump keeps on winning elections because they want to see a strong America, and they'll hold their nose because they saw, look, let's be honest. Should America have immigrants? Of course. It's a land of immigrants. Should America have 30 million people pouring in the Biden years? Even people who love immigration don't love unbridled immigration or gangs coming in. And that's the main reason, in my opinion, that Kamala Harris lost the election. So half the country loves Trump, half the country hates Trump. The same thing is true with Bibi. Half of Israel loves Bibi, half of Israel loathes Bibi. So why does he keep on winning election after election with investigations for corruption over champagne and over cigars, dumbest prosecution ever. It is a political prosecution. But why does he? I'll tell you why. Because Israelis understand that security is their main thing. And Bibi is Mr. Security. And they don't believe enough Naftali Bennett is Mr. By the way, Gabe, let's just remember, Mr. Jean-Appel Gabriel, let's just remember that Bennett was in office 1 month when the war broke out in Ukraine. And he, with a kippah, he broke Shabbat, and he was the first Orthodox, well, Menachem Begin as well, but first ever prime minister to wear a kippah. He got on a plane on Shabbat, flew to Moscow, said he's allowed to do it because he was saving life, became the first leader 4 or 5 days into the war to suck up to Putin and to legitimize Putin, flew to Moscow on Shabbat. I was disgusted by that. He legitimized Putin. Bennett. Now, Bibi has had meetings with Putin, but he didn't stick his head up his frickin' rectum on a Shabbos after Putin invaded Ukraine. Don't forget that. You probably forgot that, did you? I bet you did forget. Do you remember that? That was gross. And look how many lives Bennett saved doing it. Lapid's a nice guy. He'd make a good foreign minister. He speaks well. He's not ready to be prime minister, not in a time of war. And that's what's going to happen. What should happen is Bibi should have one more term. He has to see through. This is going to be a long time. It means he'll be prime minister 18, 19 years, but so be it. Do I believe in term limits in Israel? I believe in term limits everywhere. America, Israel, but Israel doesn't have them. So since they don't have them, Bibi should be prime minister. After he leaves, if they want to establish term limits, so be it. But you can't remove Bibi from office during this war. We need Mr. Security to finish off Iran, God willing, hopefully with President Trump, and let the people of Iran finally be freed, go to elections, and God, what a different place the world will be without Iran. Okay, we got through all our main subjects. God bless you all. Gabe, I want to thank you. My friends, you have got to buy Comeback Nation. It's the most amazing book. My son, Mendy, is fighting now. I'm not going to say where, but he's an IDF hero. He wrote the book with me. So I give the political perspective, the media perspective. He gives the on-the-ground IDF perspective. It reads like a novel. You've got to buy it. Go to shmuley.com to order it. shmuley.com. shmuley.com. Gabe, do you know what the address is? shmuley.com. Good. You got it. The first thing that we've ever agreed on. Me and Jean-Appel Gabriel. Order Comeback Nation right now. shmuley.com. God bless you all.